everyone, and welcome to the Survivor Savant podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Newport, the self-proclaimed Survivor Savant himself. And today, we are talking about what has happened in Survivor episode 12, which is called The Biggest Adventure. And the reason it's called that is because of one specific reward that happens in this episode. And I'm excited to tell you about it, and I'm jealous of the people who get to go on it. But with that said, let's get in. Oh, wait. First off, I just want to say, I apologize for Brandon for not saying his last name correctly. It's not Brand Smith, like I said in the last, not the last episode, but like the introduction episode, like the very first episode that I reviewed Survivor Africa. It's not Brandon Smith, as I believe I recall saying. It's actually Brandon Quinton. So I apologize to Brandon. I just wanted to get that out there. But with that said, so this episode, it definitely shows how much bigger the rewards are or what's at stake. And with it now being down to the final 6, with Ethan and Lex and Big Tom and Kim Johnson, Kim Powers, and T-Bird, Teresa, it's now starting to become really close to how big the rewards are and how much everybody's really hungry to get the rewards and want to get closer to the end. And whatever advantage they can get from the reward, it helps benefits them. And for me personally, reward challenges are reward challenges. You know, they'll be fun to go on, and everybody will love to get the experience out of this adventure that they get to go on. But and plus there'd be food there, which helps you get you an advantage strength wise and nutrition wise, and who knows, maybe we'll get that extra boost that you need in the upcoming immunity challenge. But in my opinion, as much as I would love to win a good reward challenge, and I've said before, I'm a big cheeseburger person, so if the reward was burgers, I'm wanting to win that one so bad. But with that said, I don't see a reward challenge really being that important in my mind. I more am focused on trying to make sure that I win that immunity, so that way I can get a couple more days closer to the end of winning Survivor. Because it's not really that I'm not really it's not that I find rewards not that important, but I find immunity being more important in my eyes in this game, rather than getting some comfortable or nutrition values or nourishment. I look at winning that immunity more as an important task in my mind. So yeah, I can get the extra food from a reward or to help me with that, but immunity is what's at stake here, and the more immunity I win, the better. But with that said, this reward challenge though, first off, Jeff gave the castaways a little sampling of, well, not a little sampling, but they got some really nice love videos from home in the form of a video cassette tape on a TV. Jeff got to play each of the video messages from home from their loved ones back at home. Kim Johnson, she got love messages from her family, from her kids, from her grandkids, and from her husband Ted. And it was really cute to see. I can tell she's really missing them. Next is Teresa, aka T-Bird, whose messages came from her husband and her kids, and from her mom, I believe. I believe her mom was in there. Next was oh, and I like the fact that the kids have been saying that they've been making sure that they do their chores, and they've been praying for her before her to go to bed, and making sure that she's okay, which I found to be cute. It's nice that they really care about their mother that much. Next was Ethan, who got a love message from his family he had home, and her mom was trying to talk, and they just got back from eating dinner, and they might have been drinking from the looks of it, because she was trying to speak and then she was nonstop laughing, and it was just funny to look at. But no, Ethan's happy to see that they're all having a good time and that they're thinking about him. Next was Big Tom, whose loved ones were back at the goat farm that he worked. Excited. His son Bo and his dad were there, and while they were talking to him, a goat hopped on one of their carts that they were riding, and Bo just like push, or not push, he wouldn't harm the goat, but just kind of like gently he pushed him off because he was in the way. And then of course he got his wife in the message, and she really lets him know that she really misses him, and she's been hanging out with another horse that she's proud to call her own. I'm not sure if what I'm saying is accurate, but yeah, I can see why those two who fell in love, I'm not gonna lie. Next was Kim Powers, who got a video message from her mom, and she was, throughout the whole video, there was a lot of breaks in it because she couldn't stop crying. So she asked not to stop every time she started crying, and then cut back to her, and when she did it again, it started repeating itself. And Kim Powers, admits that she definitely gets that from her, which was funny and kind of sweet. And finally, there was Lex. Lex got a loved one's message from his two boys and his wife, and I liked what she said, that she said, "The moment I met you, I knew I was gonna fall in love with you and be with you," which was kind of sweet. I really appreciate that. Once again, fingers crossed, I meet my special someone someday, and I don't know. Oh, I'm hoping that it will be a great relationship between the two of us. And wait, what am I getting distracted for? Anyway, so since they got the video messages from their loved ones, they decided that it would be fun to incorporate them into the challenge. So for this reward challenge, Jeff asked them a series of questions that the contestants also have to answer. And if their answers match correctly with their loved ones on screen, then they get a point. Whoever has the most points at the end of the challenge wins the reward. Now, this reward would include who's going on an African safari to witness the migration of the wildebeest. Truly once in a lifetime experience that they don't want to miss. And then they go back to this luxurious resort. It's not really like a resort building type, but it's a resort like camp, and they get to feast on whatever food they want, and the best part about it, they get to use Jeff Probst's personal visa. And I'm like, that ain't gonna last long. after I saw that, I was like, ugh, that won't last long. Hope you're getting yourself a new one. But anyway, the challenge started, and the first question was, what was their most embarrassing moment? I remember Kim Johnson said throwing up on her second date with her husband in the bathroom. And he was getting real close with the second date in the bathroom part, but he just then stopped it completely because he didn't want to embarrass her. I can understand that as a loving husband, but you were so close. You almost prevented your wife from winning that at one point. I remember Big Tom answered. He was walking around the house in his dirty underwear, and then his wife, he said he really isn't embarrassed about a lot of things. And then Kim Powers mentioned about how she was in a triathlon, and the bike she was riding, had caught on her shorts, and everyone got a good look at her butt. Very embarrassing, I will say that. And her mom got it correct. She answered her correctly and got a point for her. Then Lex was next. Lex had a lot of happy hours, and one of his how do I say this? Lex, he had a little bit too much happy hour, and got sick during his human in college. Human course in college. That's all I'm gonna say. Luckily, his wife answered correctly, and Lex got a point as well. So the score stands at 1 point for both Kim Powers and Lex, while the rest of them got no points. One of the next questions was what were their biggest fears? I know that Big Tom, I had mentioned earlier, Big Tom's wife had mentioned earlier that he's not really ashamed of anything or scared of anything. But Big Tom answered none, and apparently his wife switched it on him and said, afraid of losing his son. And Jeff was like, can't argue with that. Nope. So Tom didn't get a point. Kim Johnson didn't get a point. Teresa didn't get a point. Ethan didn't get a point. And Kim Powers didn't get a point. But Lex, his answer was losing his wife or his boys. And his wife had answered correctly too. That leads Lex up to 2 points. Now we get to a couple of rounds later. Jeff Probst asks, what are the castaways' greatest achievements? Kim Johnson and her husband answered correctly, her family. Big Tom answered his son, which his wife got correct as well. Teresa answered incorrectly, so she didn't get any points. Ethan didn't get any points. Kim Powers didn't get any points. And finally, Lex said his 2 sons. And his wife answered correctly. And with 4 points, Lex wins the immunity challenge. Reward challenge. Good grief. So Jeff hands Lex his Visa card, and he's telling him not to spend too much on it. Now, the best part about this reward is that he gets to take somebody along with him on the reward. And he decided to take Big Tom on the reward. And Jeff promises that they're both gonna have a really fun time. And Big Tom was like, I'm gonna be the best day you ever had. I love Big Tom. He's a kidder. And then, okay, so I'm not gonna lie, knowing what reward challenge this would be and what kind of inspiration that was involved in it, I know that my parents would be in the loved one's video, maybe my siblings too, but as far as who would be answering the questions along with me, I'm gonna have to say my dad. And as far as the questions go, all right, moment of truth here. So the most embarrassing thing that happened to me, I was in high school during my drama class. I was practicing some dance moves, and I accidentally ripped my pants. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this, because it's embarrassing, but you know, if it were in the challenge, that's what it would be. And then my biggest fears, my biggest fear is, well, yeah, okay. My biggest fears is, one, roosters. I mean, if you've seen those Mexican fighting roosters, you know what I mean. But second, would be afraid of losing anyone I loved. And then, as of right now, I don't think I've had much great achievement in my life so far. But if I can recall one big achievement I'd say is my most proudest, it would be when I would say it would have to be when I got my first car. So far, that's my biggest achievement. And no, wait, scratch that. I'd say my biggest achievement was when I got baptized. The day I got baptized, October 24th, in 2021, I'd say was my greatest achievement. It's when I decided to give my hand to God and really hope that His Spirit could lead me on to be helping me do better things and to be a better person than I know I can be. And I would never thought in my life, hey, that I would be doing that, but you know, life can surprise you like that. And I hope it keeps giving me more surprises that turn out the best for me, for the better. And I am always proud of that moment, of that day. But anyway, so to the reward. Lex and Big Tom get to go on this plane that flies them over the African in Savannah, then over to this jungle area, which the green scenery was actually pretty beautiful. You got some beautiful trees and some water down there. I could have sworn I saw some birds flying. They land, and then they're taken to this luxurious campsite area where not only do they get a nice, comfortable bed, they also got a nice sitting area where it's nearby this like creek or river, and there are hippos in it. It's crazy. They got hippos nearby. And then they also got a toilet, I know Big Tom was really happy to see that toilet hit because he hasn't seen one in days. You know, he's been knowing the air contestants, the most time they've been going to and using the bathroom was when and they had to dig up a hole just so they can go number 2 and just cover it. That's about as most they've done is going into the bathroom. But yeah, it's I'm not gonna lie, it looked really cool, and I would have loved to go on that. We were then shown them going on this African safari car ride where they got to drive by the wildebeest migration. Now, it was cool seeing all these wildebeest and getting to see them just running and moving along like it was the moment from freaking Lion King. Sorry, Mufasa. But yeah, it was so cool to see that. They also got to see a couple of lions just yawning like they were tired, and I remember he also saw some elephants, and there was a little baby elephant. Oh, it was really cute. Elephants, by the way, my favorite animals. I see them before or at zoos, and it would be cool just to not actually go nearby them because they could be dangerous, but you know, it wouldn't be cool. Oh, just go pet an elephant or something, or feed an elephant. I think that would be awesome. But yeah, Lex and Tom, they're having a good time. They got back to the camp area, and they're having a couple of drinks, spirits. They're enjoying the drink. Lex was like, I never thought I'd be drinking, on a campsite in Africa before. And Big Tom was like, I never drink right next to a hippo. That was really funny. And then Big Tom, being the good old country boy that he is, and he decided to keep drinking more, and just as they were about to leave to go have their dinner, he takes the bottle of I'm not sure if it was whiskey or bourbon, but he takes it with him and stuffs it in his pocket, almost like it was a holster or something. Now they got to go to this nice table set up for them where they have a private chef and they're cooking for them, and they got to have lamb, which I'm not gonna lie, I've always wanted to try lamb. I hear it's very tender and really delicious. The only time I've ever seen lamb be prepared and cooked is when I watch Hell's Kitchen. I don't know if I'm ever gonna have lamb, but it looks delicious. And they were complimenting the chef, giving him props, and my compliments to the chef. And then they head back to their campsite, and it was kind of raining, and they were in their tent. Big Tom was still drinking away, and at this point, Big Tom is hammered. He's plastered, and it was getting around nighttime, and they were wanting to go to bed, and well, mostly Lex, and he led Big Tom over to his side of the bed and got him tucked in, and like I've always said before on Survivor, know your limits. Otherwise, you're probably gonna suffer consequences later on, as we've seen with many people who decide to drink on Survivor. I'm not gonna say who, but Big Tom, he's not gonna get voted out. That's as far as I'm gonna say. He's not gonna get voted out just because he's drinking. But anyway, morning comes, and it's really early in the morning, and of course Lex is drinking coffee, and he's helping Big Tom after his not his hangover, but it's kind of a hangover, and he's giving him water and some aspirin to help, and they're then told that they're going on this hot air balloon ride, and it'll take them over the African and savannah, or the African jungle. They're then introduced to this guy who's the pilot of the hot air balloon, and he's British. That's as much as I can say. He's got a lot of experience doing this stuff, and he was asked by Big Tom if he's ever crashed a hot air balloon before, or any accidents, and he was like, well, not really, but the most devastating thing you can do is accidentally drop a glass of champagne as you're flying over the savannah. Like, that's the most detrimental thing you could ever do on a hot air balloon ride. But yeah, it was really cool. I mean, cross my fingers. I don't know if I'll ever do a hot air balloon ride, but it sounds fun. I'm not gonna lie, going on a hot air balloon ride does sound fun, and maybe one of these days I'll actually get to go on one, because it's something that nobody's never experienced before. And I know there have been some occasions where it could go awry, but I really hope that my experience, if I were to ever do it, doesn't go or turn out like that. But anyway, Lex and Big Tom were really enjoying the sights. They were flying over some trees and got to see some animals, and they were really fascinated and stunned by what they were seeing. And Big Tom especially was really moved by all of this. It really opened his eyes on that there's more to life than what's around the corner of his house. And it really changed his whole view on things. During the ride though, they saw a couple wildebeests running by, and they were wondering to themselves, wouldn't it be cool if they actually ran into a lion, and then we got to see this full-on chase? Little did they say that there was a lion coming at them, and one of the wildebeests ran away, but the other wildebeest was going and off somewhere else, and the lion was chasing them. Now he was running in circles, not really running in circles, but he was curving and trying to get away. And the lion was definitely getting tired, and it looked like the wildebeest had successfully got away from the lion. But there was actually another lion out there, and that lion was chasing him, and the wildebeest tried as hard as they can and to get away. It just looked like it was a wildebeest racetrack going on where they're trying to get away from the lion. And as soon as the wildebeest tried to make that next turn, the lion caught him and put pressure on him, and circle of life, man. That's how it naturally happens for lions and the wildebeest. Normally that would be different in a Lion King. Sorry, Mufasa. But nonetheless, it was actually kind of cool to see something that you would normally see in a nature documentary, where the lion's chasing another animal and catches them and eventually eats them. Sorry. But, it was really cool to witness. So, Lex and Big Tom definitely had the time of their lives out there. And they head back to camp. They don't want to seem too happy about the trip, because they know everybody might get jealous if they mention any little bit of detail about it. But back at camp, even though they were gone, the girls plus Ethan got to enjoy whatever little time they had. The girls make their own like playing cards to play with, other than checkers, which I'd say he it would get boring from time to time if they had nothing else to do. But they made their own playing cards, which is cool. Of course, they were still eating the mushy gruel stuff or the cornmeal that they had. And then the guys came back and they were happy to see them and glad that they had a fun trip. But it wasn't until they realized that, well, it was mostly Teresa that knows this, but there are 4 Baran members left with Ethan, Lex, Kim Johnson, and Big Tom. And there are only 2 Samburus left with Kim Powers and Teresa T-Bird. So if it starts, once they go to tribal council, Teresa's kind of worried that Kim Powers and her are probably going to be on the chopping block because they got the majority. Baran does. And the fact that there's only 2 of them left, they can just simply vote them out like one, then done. And that'll be it. It'll be 4 Baran members or just Baran members at the end of the game. So it's just a matter of if they can win immunity, that they could last longer in the game. So we get into the immunity challenge, and this challenge includes, it's very similar to a challenge that they had back in Survivor Australia and Outback, where they had the plates hanging and they were given a slingshot to shoot at the plates. But this challenge was different. Instead of plates, they had these like clay ceramic pots hanging off of the string that they each have 3 pots with their names on it. And in order to hit the pots, they were given these like African war clubs called ringbas. Now, in the hands of a professional, once thrown at, they can be very deadly and can actually smash a human skull. If that isn't intimidating enough, I don't know what is. But anyway, for the challenge, they're each given in 3 clay pots as their lifeline. If one of the other tribe members hits the opposing tribe member's clay pots, then one hunts out. Well, then they're only down to like, say if you hit 1 clay pot of your opposing tribe member. If for example, will hit one of those clay pots, then that person lose like a life, like in a video game. If I hit all their clay pots, then they're out of the challenge for good. Last person left standing with any pots still out there wins immunity. Now, this challenge is really starting to show that they're all playing to win, and knowing that Lex and Big Tom came back from that challenge, that they got the upper hand because they got plenty of food to eat and a lot of strength to keep them going. And everybody was kind of hurt that people were hitting each other's pots, like not like they hate them after they hit their pots and will forever hate them, but it's just friendly competition. And I feel so bad for Kim Johnson, but she was actually throwing her club and she accidentally hit her own pot. Like, oh, I can't believe that happened. So Teresa didn't win. Kim Powers didn't win. Lex didn't win, surprisingly. Normally Lex would win because he's like the challenge beast in the season so far. And then Ethan didn't win. So it was down to Kim Johnson and Big Tom. Big Tom still had some pots remaining, while Kim Johnson only had like 1 left. And even though Kim was able to destroy one of Big Tom's pots, Big Tom finished off Kim's last pot and Big Tom became the winner of the immunity challenge. This was Big Tom's first immunity win, and I'm not gonna say anything else. I only say that because it's kind of significant into something else that happens to him in the future, but I'll leave it off from there. So the castaways head back to tribal council. Well, not tribal council, but their camp, and they start discussing who they feel as though will be most likely to be voted off. Big Tom, even though he's forgiven Lex about everything, he still feels like he still can't trust Lex after he still sided with Brandon and after that one vote off of Kelly. And I heard that apparently there was some like gender split in between the votes where girls were gonna vote for a guy and then the guys were gonna vote for a girl. Like, even though we don't actually get to see that, but it was definitely becoming apparent that Teresa was fighting as hard as she can and to make sure that she stays in this game longer. Even though she is down in numbers, Lex starts to see that there's this fire in her belly and that's really showing that she's really wanting to stay in this game, and she's gonna do whoever it takes to make sure that she stays around longer, and possibly you see if she can get Kim Powers to stay around longer. But we get to tribal council, and the jury, he's coming in, and it's really starting to build up now that there's going to be three members of the jury, soon to be 4, and it's really starting to sink in on how close this game is coming to an end. And Jeff then asks what is the biggest thing that they missed from her actual life back at home. He asks Lex, he says his kids, well, his wife and his kids. He asked Kim Johnson, she said has her family. Ethan, his family. Teresa, her family. And then Big Tom, cheeseburger. Only Big Tom can say ridiculous answers like that and then expect to laugh. But yeah, everybody has their different reasons why they want to play this game. I mean, Big Tom, he of course wants to play to win and get back home to his family, so he seen as a proud person in front of everyone, even though he did say jokingly that the one thing he misses back at home was a cheeseburger. My thoughts exactly. But everybody's fighting for something to the reason why they want to win this game. And if they keep that mentality and that spirit within them to the end of the game, then maybe they can win it. Who knows? But we get into the vote. And as much as Teresa could try as hard as she can to make sure that both her and Kim Powers stay in this game, unfortunately, in a 2-4 vote, Kim Powers is the 4th member of the jury. And it's now down to 4 Baran and 1 Samburu left, with T-Bird being the last Samburu left. It's down to a final 5, and it's really getting closer and closer to the end. Oh boy. And we still got 1 more reward challenge left, and 3 more immunity challenges left. And there's a lot that's going to happen with this, so be prepared, and boy, I can't wait to tell you all. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Survivor Savant podcast. We're almost to the end. Holy cow. We're almost to the end, and it's really crazy how fast this season has gone. Of course, now normally for the next episode, I would do 1 episode. But for this special occasion, because it's getting so close to the end, I'm going to do back-to-back episodes. So you're going to have one part of episode 20, which is Friday. Then you're going to have another part of episode 20, which will follow after. So you'll get 2 episodes in one day. And this will represent the finale of Survivor Africa. Again, so much to cover about this. But with that said, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed being outsmarted, outclassed, and outspoken with the Survivor Savant podcast. This is Nathan Newport, signing out. See you guys.